Welcome to the Women on the Rise podcast. This is where we talk all things entrepreneurship aimed at female entrepreneurs. Whether you are just starting out or you have a 7 or an 8-figure business, we bring you the greatest tools, techniques, and ideas for inspiration for your business. I also interview some of the world's leading entrepreneurs from all over the world to hear about their businesses and what they've done to grow and scale their businesses. I welcome you to join us in our journey for Women on the Rise. Hi there, this is Jen Blandos. I am the host of the Women on the Rise podcast, and today I am at the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Festival, and I am sitting down with Nathalie Haddad, who is the founder of RightBite. Nathalie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Jen. Thank you.
I'm so excited to meet you and hear about your business. And I find it so interesting. I know so many entrepreneurs in the UAE and we haven't met yet. And I find your story is so fascinating. So everybody who's listening to the podcast, maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about who you are and about RightBite.
Well, I started RightBite nearly 20 years ago now. And it started off me being a dietitian. So I used to counsel individuals on healthy eating, whether they wanted to lose weight, eat healthy, had cholesterol, blood pressure, because my interest was very much in the medical sector. So I wanted to do something that was preventative. And nutrition is the best way to take care of your health. So I used to counsel individuals. And back then in Dubai, it was very limited in the options of food available. It still hadn't gotten to where it is today. So people would come to me and tell me, okay, you're telling us what to eat, but there isn't availability of healthy food. And the concept of meal plans has been done globally before, but nobody had done it in Dubai. So I was the pioneer in this space in Dubai. So I used to see clients in the daytime. I had a friend that owned a cafe. I used to go in at night. I had one chef, one driver, and an admin lady. And we used to cook the food, package it, and have it delivered to our clients. And I started off with 50 customers. And then get 2 hours of sleep and restart my day again. And we grew organically from there. So after a year in the cafe, I went into one of the hotels in Dubai. And back then, again, contacts, friends, everybody was willing to help. I went into the hotel, and the executive chef there, I still remember him, he taught me everything I know today about kitchens. And it was great because I was able to learn everything about kitchens. However, whenever the hotel was busy and they had a banquet or a wedding or an event, I wasn't a priority for them. And the minute they weren't busy, they did wonders for the food that they were preparing for me. So it got to a point where his name was Simon at the time, told me, Nali, you're growing. I think it's time for you to look for your own kitchen. And so in parallel, that's when it was a year and a half into the business where I did the big investment. And I did my own central kitchen and did the investment into having my whole team. And that's where the business grew. And I still have that central kitchen today, 20 years later.
Wow. And I love hearing that story about how you started small. You tested the idea, but you were also doing everything. And that's so important, isn't it? That as business owners, we need to understand what's going on in our business.
I think as business owners, it's very important that you stay close to the customer, so you're always in touch with the customer and listening to what the customer wants, at the same time knowing every single detail in your business. I remember when we were doing the central kitchen, we were constructing it. We took a warehouse, shell and core. I went to Dubai Municipality. I was like, Dubai Municipality, come, is this one fit for a kitchen? Because they had to approve it and give you the license. And then I got a kitchen consultant that we made sure we were HACCP, ISO certified, and then I remember we were constructing the kitchen or doing the fit out, and one of the contractors came in and he's like, I asked him something about the construction and he's like, don't worry about it. He was kind of like, telling me, you don't need to know the details. And I was like, no, I got really upset. I was like, I wanted to know because I understood everything from MEP to construction to the flow, because that was the best way to know when things went wrong later on, how things go. So I understood, construction, supply chain, accounts, food production, everything related to my business. And at the same time was counseling the clients and staying very close to the customer.
So there's a couple of things you said. I think it's really interesting how you were saying that you're staying true to the customer, because Food is a tough business to be in. And I see this as well in Female Fusion with our members. The members who have food businesses, it's tough. It is a really difficult business to be in. So how are you constantly innovating?
When it comes to food, you have to remember we're in a space which is healthy eating. So a few things that till today, I make sure the team always stays true to is one, we only feed our customers what we'd eat ourselves, or I would feed at my family. So I got opportunities to produce many different types of food, and I said no, because it's not what I believe in. So one, make sure it's in line with your values. When it comes to healthy eating, it had to be scientific based, because especially with healthy eating, there's a lot of fad diets out there. So some things come and go, some things stick. It was always for us, it's what we believe in, and our team consists of a lot of dietitians, and we stay true to that. So whenever we produce anything, it's dietitian-based and chef-based. So we work very closely together, and we look at all the macronutrients, so the carbs, protein, fat, fiber, and the calories of every single dish. And we also, over time, this is a learning that I had, was because at the beginning I used to listen to every single customer, and anything the customer wants, chef, we need to do this, chef, we need to do that. At the end, you learn that how to filter through the noise.
Yeah.
So not everything your customer says, you act on immediately. So you take it in, it's super important, and then you see what's best for the business.
I think that's a really important point that you raise, because it is sometimes, as business owners, I think a lot of times we're people pleasers as well, and you want all your customers to be raving fans. But as you said, if you're implementing every single thing they ask for, it's going to be so far from your strategy and your direction that there's only certain things that you're able to do that are smart for the business.
Yeah, so over time, like we got to a point over the 20 years where I had to stop and say, guys, we need to take a step back, look at what we're offering, try to consolidate, because then it becomes harder on the chefs, harder on the operation. Customers get confused if they have too much choice. Yet they want the variety, but it has to be done in a structured way. So always, in a business, it's always important every once in a while to stop, take a step back, and restructure again.
Yeah. That's so interesting, and I think it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Sometimes there's the instinct naturally that you want to over-deliver and you want to have people be happy. So having all of the choice, or listening to, I want this type of meal or that type of meal, to all of a sudden you're like, how are we, like it becomes confusing, and it's so much work that it's hard on the team as well.
Yeah, it's hard on the operation. So you need to always make sure you're doing best for the business and best for the customers. And we've tried to kind of fell into the 80-20 rule. As long as we have 80% of the customers happy, 100% of the time, that's the most important thing. Yeah,
really valuable lesson in that as well, is that it is, you can't please everybody. And so it is focusing on that 80%. So 2021 was a bit of a change for you. You sold the assets of your business and then sold the business to Ketopia. Talk everybody through that process, because a lot of entrepreneurs are like, I want to sell my business, or I want to get funding or some sort of investment. What made you decide that was the right time to do it?
So I'll step a bit back before 2021. Ketopia launched 6 years ago now. And when they launched, Ketopia was a cloud kitchen, whereby they had satellite kitchens all over Dubai, or planning to do satellite kitchens all over Dubai. Under Right Bite, we had the meal plans, which was our core business, but we also had launched On Demand, which was Right Bite Express at the time. And we had one location in JLT. And we had our own motorbike drivers. We were on the aggregators back then. It was mainly Deliveroo, if I remember. And we were not making money. So when Ketopia, because it was economies of scale.
Yeah.
You had one location, it was very busy. We did a really good orders, but it was only lunchtime. And the motorbike drivers, we didn't have enough for that peak demand. And yet they were fully employed. So Ketopia launched, and they, helped businesses like mine on the on-demand business. So I know the co-founder, Mohammed Baloud, quite well. And he said, why don't we work together on the express business? And we did. So Right Bite Express was in all of their satellite kitchens.
Oh, great.
And we grew quite exponentially over the first 2 years of us working together. And then we were very close, my team and his team. And he's like, how do we get the meal plan business from you? And I was like, the meal plan business is my baby.
You're not.
So that's where he's like, okay, why don't you go asset light? Give me your central kitchen, give me your fleet, because we had our own fleet of cars, and you continue owning the business. At the same time, take a role within Ketopia, so that way you can ensure the processes and the operations that you want are in place. And it worked out really well, because it was right before COVID hit. And we did the merger. So I had two roles. It was quite intense for me as a role, because I owned the business. I was taking a role in another company that was growing aggressively. But it was a great learning, because I saw how things were running on the corporate side. I still own my business and the brand. So I was in charge of everything A to Z, but I didn't have the expenses of the assets. So those were covered by Ketopia.
Entrepreneur's dream, right?
Yes, I was lucky. So again, it depends on the relationships you build and how detailed you are as an owner in terms of staying hands-on on the operations. Like with F&B, being hands-on on the operations makes a huge role on quality, standardization, customer experience. And to me, those were key. And then fast forward a year and a half after that, Ketopia went through their Series C funding, and that's where they had enough money, and they went and they acquired a lot of brands, and we were one of the brands that they acquired. And it kind of happened quite naturally, because we were already within the Ketopia system. So that's when the acquisition happened.
And how did you feel? Because some business owners feel quite apprehensive about letting go of their baby, or feeling like, I'm not sure if I should get investment. Because one of the things that it seems to me is that you took on, you sold the assets, that it allowed you to grow super quickly, right? Where before you were struggling with the JLT location, and you didn't have the staff to be able to meet the demand.
And I didn't have the investment from me, because RightBite was self-funded up to that point, while Ketopia was a VC play, and they had funding to build all these kitchens. So we piggybacked off of Ketopia's expansion. We went into Saudi, we went into Qatar, we went into Kuwait with them. So the expansion was quite aggressive without directly getting funding. So it's important to get the right partner at the time. And I was lucky that Ketopia's vision and my vision were aligned, and our values were aligned as well. So we work closely together. They focus on quality, my focus on quality, on customer experience. It's very important that what's important to you is important to whatever partner you decide to work with.
That sounds like you have the dream partnership with them as well, which is great.
Look, it's not always perfect, but what's important, and that's what I tell everybody that tells me, okay, you're with Ketopia, how is it? I'm like, look, there are mistakes. They're an operator just like you are. Would they do it better than you doing it on your own? Of course not, Yes and no in many different ways. What was important to me, and that's just what I told a lot of people, was whenever there's an issue, what's important is how quickly they respond to things. And that response rate, how quickly it was, how quickly they looked into it, how quickly it escalated was what was important to me.
Excellent. And we have a number of, I meet a number of businesses who want to get into the food business, or they have a food company, and they struggle with growing it, with making it profitable. What advice would you give to food-related businesses, that they would be able to build a business that's actually going to be profitable, that they'll be able to have last?
Look, it's very important to look at many factors. One, your economies of scale. Look at every single cost line, from food cost to your fixed cost to your staffing cost, while looking at the quality of your output. And the simpler, like even learning RightBite is not simple at all, but looking back, the simpler a food concept is, the easier it is to grow it, the less your expenses are. The more complex the food business is, the more manpower you need, the more SKUs or ingredients you need to buy, the more wastage you have, and these start all adding up.
That makes a lot of sense. And what are you doing now? Are you you're still with RightBite, and you're sitting on the board of Ketopia as well?
I'm not on the board of Ketopia. I play an advisory role within Ketopia.
Okay.
So I help them with a few concepts, and I still keep an eye, for lack of a better word, on RightBite. So I support with a lot of different projects for RightBite, and I work with Ketopia on an advisory role. I'm an invested partner within Ketopia, so that's on one side. On another side, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs or people looking to grow their businesses, on strategy, on how to get to the next level.
We talk about that a lot in Female Fusion. I mean, my big view is that you don't want an expensive hobby, you want a profitable business. What for you would you say, if you were speaking to entrepreneurs, would be some good top tips to help grow their business and scale their business?
I think when you're looking to start up a business, make sure it's something you really want to do every single day, and it's not a passion project, because a lot of hard work goes into it. And if you've already in a business, one thing that I believe helped me with Right Bite over the years is I never thought I made it. And I don't know where time flew. Okay, I always kept on feeling like I was in startup mode. So being in startup mode, you always force yourself to reinvent yourself. The customer is not kind, for lack of a better word. They're very demanding, even more and more as time goes on. There's a lot of choice, there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Customer loyalty is very little.
You're as good as the last meal that they had with you, right?
Yeah, so you need to make sure you're continuously reinventing yourself while staying true to yourself. Keep an eye on the competition, but don't be obsessed by the competition. Okay? Try to create a space for you that you believe. And to me, as long as you believe in it and you work hard, you can achieve anything you want. But you need to work hard. It takes a lot of hard work.
And I think sometimes people, when they have businesses, they're a bit surprised by that, aren't they? That it's like, oh, I thought I was just going to, have my laptop and work a few hours and make lots of money. And you're like, no, you're going to work harder.
You can work harder when it's on your own, and you need to realize that you have to have many different hats on.
Yeah.
And you need to do, for lack of a better word, all the dirty work yourself. You can't delegate it. It's not like being in a big company where somebody, each person's role is very defined. In startup world, in the business world, you and everybody you employ on the team should be able to have a lot of grit, a lot of passion, and be willing to do all the little nitty-gritty details to make things happen.
When you were building your business, what did you find were your challenges to growth? One of the things I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is when they reach the high 6 figures, 7 figures, the thing they struggle with the most is team. That's you sort of hit a point where it's like you can't go any further until you have the right team behind you. Did you find that?
Yes, and it's very hard because you have people that have been so loyal to you over the many years and hardworking, yet you get to a point and they can't go with you the next phase of your journey. And making that decision for the benefit of both yourself and your team member is a very hard decision. But I think you need to be true to yourself and to the team member, have an honest conversation. And at the end, what my learnings have been, it ends up working best for both. For them as well, because they're also not happy where they are and they're not happy with the change.
Well, everybody wants to succeed, right? And they want to go into work and feel that they're achieving something. And if they're not, that can be quite demotivating as well.
Yeah.
Do you, when you hire people, do you look for skill, or are you looking more for somebody who has the right mindset that you could train to be in that role?
I think mindset, culture, loyalty, work ethics are my number one key factors in hiring somebody. Obviously, they need to know how to do the role, and it depends what role it is. They need to bring something into the equation. So I can't teach somebody everything from scratch, but they don't need to be the best at it. Because I think with time and in the industries today, things change so quickly. So as long as it's somebody that's willing to continuously learn, continuously stay up to date, I can teach, I can coach within a certain space, and they have the right mindset, I think that's the best team member.
Yeah. Most business owners who have been very successful with growth, I hear that from them as well, that it is having the right person with the right mindset. The skills can come, it's either training them on the job, sending them for extra courses, but it's so hard to get that right mindset within the business.
They need to be a team player, they need to want to learn, and they need to want to grow together. There needs to be that alignment.
Do you find as well that when you're, whether it's hiring people or making decisions in the business, are you more somebody who makes their decisions based on logic or more with the heart?
Combination of both.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot more heart. Yeah. And then as you grow older and mature a little bit in business, you try to balance it out with a lot more mind. But the heart is still there.
It's funny. I love asking that question of people because I hear different answers that some people will say, I used to be all with my brain because I would overanalyze things. And then they're like, I have so much experience. I just know. The intuition is like, I don't even think about the brain. The intuition tells me yes or no.
I think being part of Ketopia for the past 2 years, a bit longer actually, it's been for 3-4 years, because it's a corporate structure and you have many different stakeholders, you have to show them that you need the data. So that's taught me that there needs to be data, supporting your gut instinct.
Yeah.
But beforehand, and I remember when I first started Right Bite, I remember that my father's like, Nathalie, you're not working for charity, you're running a business now, but like at the time, I just loved what I was doing it. But I also believe if you love what you do it right, your customers are happy, the money will come.
Yeah. Yes, but also we need to charge for it, right?
Yes.
Did you find that hard in the beginning that you weren't charging people enough?
I think I was giving away more than I should, just out of, everybody's your friend, quote unquote, in business.
Yeah.
So, like, I was giving, but then it came back because they liked what they were experiencing, they enjoyed it, they saw the results. And word of mouth was my strongest marketing tool initially until competition came into the market. They had more money than me, so they were spending on marketing. Okay. And that's where I needed to start spending on marketing.
Okay. But the word of mouth can be so powerful if you have the right people with the word of mouth. And that's also why networks are so important. When I hear people say to me, I'm too busy, I don't have time to network. I'm like, no, you need your network. Like your network, whether it's going to be finding the right people who you could give free meal plan for a week or two to try it out, and then that they're going to tell everybody about it, or it's going to be people who are going to make introductions for you, or that network is so powerful.
And I think the network is also important to realize no matter how somebody's size of business is, they're all going through similar experiences. And if you have that network that tells you, okay, what you're going through is the same as, somebody else is going through, and you kind of feel a bit of comfort in your experience.
Yeah. And it is, you do want to surround yourself with people who are going to be your supporters and recommend you. I find it fascinating too that you'll meet people who don't see that and who will walk into a room and go, I didn't get any customers. This is terrible. Or, I don't see the value. And I'm like, no. These people are going to grow with you as your business grows. And they will be your biggest champions and your biggest supporters. And they might not buy from you, but they might know 5 people who will buy for you. Or that investor who might invest in you, they will make that introduction for you.
Because at the end of the day, you're dealing with people. And you're dealing with people's emotions, especially with food. Food is very emotional. Yeah. So it's very important to keep that.
Everyone has an opinion about food. Yeah. What about for you, as you've had the business for 20 years and you didn't start out being an entrepreneur, you started out being a nutritionist. How did you learn from being a nutritionist to building this business?
I think just by doing the job, to be very honest with you. Like, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know what a balance sheet was, what a P&L was, because I did nutrition and there's a lot of psychology behind nutrition, and that's what I understood very well. When, like I told you initially, when I went through my journey, when I went to the hotel, the executive chef there taught me everything about food and operations. And then when I had to do the investment into my central kitchen, I actually sat down and I did the research and did the learnings. And when I hired my accountant, I sat with him and I had him teach me about everything. It was like accounting 101.
Yeah.
And then with time, just looking into every single detail, asking, that's how I learned it.
Amazing. Yeah. And it is, we do need to be open to learning and also asking for help. A lot of businesses fail because the business owner doesn't ask for help, that they feel that it's almost a bit of shame that, if I ask for help, that means I'm failing, rather than saying, actually, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? And then you find the solution to the problem.
And that's what I did a lot of. I kept on asking, and I believe I'm a good listener. So I used to take in what everybody around me used to say, and then used to dig deeper, and that's how I learned the business side of things.
And if you had to do it again, if you started all over again, what would you do differently? Or would you do exactly the same?
Honestly, looking back, I think I'm very blessed for where I am today and for what I've created and the joy I get when people tell me they recognize Right Bite as a name and they know Right Bite. So I think I wouldn't change anything because it was an amazing journey to go through. I remember one incident that happened 7 years ago. I was actually pregnant with my second daughter, and I was in the office. I left at 1 o'clock to go pick up my first daughter from nursery, and I took my laptop. I went home, I sat down, and my operations manager at the time called me, and he was quite harsh on the phone, and I was like, it's not like him. And he's like, sit down. I'm like, what's going on? The whole warehouse was on fire. And we had and they didn't want me to come because I was 7 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And then obviously I came straight away. And I remember it really well because my whole team was standing outside the compound of warehouses.
Yeah.
Our offices was opposite the kitchen. So we were lucky the fire was in the warehouse and not in the kitchen itself.
Okay.
But because it was oil and inflammables that caught fire due to an electric short circuit, everything just went up in flames. And it took the fire brigade 4 or 5 hours to put it off. And because of the toxic fumes, they forced me to go back home.
Right.
My husband stayed. I forced myself to come back a few hours later. Anyways, long story short, the next day when I woke up, like 6 in the morning, I went to the site and the whole kitchen was there. The whole team was there. And I didn't have to call a single person. But they were all there out of their own goodwill, wanting to clean up, we had to throw out everything and clean up and do all of that. And we emailed our customers, everybody was super understanding. But just the fact that they were all there without me asking them was the most rewarding moment for me. And it was a chance for us to rebuild, and we rebuilt our offices in a much nicer way. So again, looking back, I wouldn't change any of it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that some of those things happen and it feels so horrible at the time. But then you look back at it and you're like, no, it had to happen. It allowed me to change. It allowed me to do something different.
And it made me realize, because you don't realize how much care the people around you have for you, because you're so stuck in the day-to-day job and the rush and working and all of that stuff that you don't realize how much they care for the business,
Yeah.
And over time, like I've had different people within the organization come to me and it's like, I named my child after you, I did this after you, and it's like, you don't realize the difference you make in people's lives. So
Yeah.
I think I'm very blessed and lucky to have had the journey that I've had.
Absolutely. As entrepreneurs, though, I don't think we ever retire. I don't think we ever slow down. So you, what are you doing now? What's next? What do you want to do now with your time? You're still doing work with Right Bite and advising, and you're with Ketopia, but you're not there full time, right?
No, I'm not. I'm looking to what I want to do next. And honestly, I want to do something with women entrepreneurs and helping them grow and succeed, because I strongly believe in the region, they need a lot more support and guidance, and they can do wonderful things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nathalie Haddad, thank you so much for sitting down with me on the podcast today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't know about you, but social media can feel pretty overwhelming sometimes as a business owner. It just feels like there is constant work that always needs to be done, which is why I have recorded for you a completely free 45-minute masterclass called Marketing Without Social Media. And inside, I share with you my tools and techniques that I use to grow Female Fusion and the other businesses that I have had. So I give you the tools, the techniques, and the frameworks to put that in place in your own business. All you need to do is head over to femalefusionnetwork.com/.